Hey you, yeah you who clicked on this video. Thanks for giving our channel a shot. And if you will, please do us the honor of watching the video all the way through. Appreciate it. Now onto the video. Hello fellow 8-bit heroes. Today we are going to talk about the Netflix series Terminator Zero, an original Netflix anime which I will be lovingly referring to from this point forward as Terminator Zero. Now, let's get to it. What is Terminator Zero? Well, this is an original anime. It is coming from Netflix and Studio IG, I do believe. And it is basically a cooperation between Studio IG, Netflix, and Skydance Entertainment. Now, what is this about? Well, this is an alternate story. It has nothing to do with the original stories from the movies in any real way. It is mostly just taking the lore and the world from those particular entries and transposing it onto a different story with a different set of characters. They're not really even mentioned, actually, so you don't really get a Sarah Connor or a John Connor or the Arnie T100 or any of those events. Those are never really talked about in this particular series. So with that being out of the way, let's talk about it. So this series is based in 1997, and it is basically leading up to the events of Judgment Day. Now, anybody that's ever seen Terminator usually knows how this goes. A soldier from the future and a machine known as a Terminator are usually sent back simultaneously or one after the other in a basic race to complete each one of their missions. Usually the Terminator, depending on which entry you're talking about, is either sent to kill someone from the past in order to change the future, and the soldier is usually sent to stop that from happening. In various entries, like the best entry, Terminator 2 Judgment Day, 2 Terminators were sent back, one to kill the savior of the human race, John Connor, and the other to save it. And so in this, they kind of take that idea and play with it a little bit, and that was actually, I thought, one of the more positive aspects of this particular entry. So basically what you have is you have Aiko. She is a soldier from 2022, and she is being sent back to stop an alternate AI from going online that would basically be at war with the AI that we all know as Skynet. And we don't really know why. We've never heard of this AI before. So it basically takes that route. And there is a Terminator. I'm assuming it's a T800 model, but there's no real way to know. I'd probably have to watch the series again to verify its model number. But basically, once the series gets rolling, it's very apparent that the Terminator and the soldier technically have the same goal, which is to make sure that that Kokoro, the alternate AI, never comes online. So it's kind of interesting in that way. I guess since neither one of them know what the other's mission is, it facilitates it going forward. But our main characters in this story, the story basically centers around Aiko, who we've met, and then a scientist named Dr. Malcolm Lee. And Malcolm has children. He lives in Japan. He has 3 children and a housekeeper named Masaki. His wife passed in a tragic car accident a few years prior, and basically the family is trying to deal with that. However, what makes Malcolm interesting is that he is having visions of Judgment Day, in the similar vein of Sarah Connor having visions of Judgment Day and what that would look like. And without spoiling a lot, there's a lot to this. There are a lot of layers to these characters. Now, when I'm getting to the good of this series, the animation is fantastic. It is amazing. Nothing less should be expected of IG. However, then the pacing's good, but what's really kind of sticks in my craw about this is basically I don't want to say the wokeification, because that's an oversimplification of what's actually happening here, but rather a ultra feminization of the story. And what do I mean by that? I mean, because a lot of people would say, well, I mean, Terminator has always technically been a female-centric story. And to a certain degree, you would be correct. Sarah Connor, being the main protagonist of the mainline Terminator series, she is always accompanied by various supporting characters, many of them being male, some being female. It doesn't really matter. But in this story, they kind of kick that up to 11. And at some point, it even gets to the point where they have a diatribe about men versus women in the AI of Kokoro. And it goes pretty far. I mean, most of the male characters are demonized. Even Malcolm, to a certain extent, is portrayed as a kind of absentee father, and really myopic and single-minded in his way of thinking, as far as everything basically centering around his work and everything else being secondary or tertiary in some situations. The Terminator is male. The more annoying characters of his children, he has two male children, one female child. The oldest male child, he is seen as kind of a foil in a lot of ways, and he's really portrayed as kind of an asshole. Like Kenta, the oldest child, is really considered kind of like an asshole. His youngest son, Hiro, he seems very sweet. But because he is younger, he gets a softer hand, but ultimately he's not super useful. And then there's the youngest daughter, who's not, she's portrayed to be independent, kind of like almost wise beyond her years. It plays as a lot of tropes have been playing in the last 20 years, and it's kind of irritating. Aiko is not super egregious, and neither is Masaki. Masaki's the most feminine character in the entire series, really. She's the most feminine, and I mean, of all the characters. Aiko, obviously, because of her background and coming from a future where they're basically at war at all times, she has that Sarah Connor aspect to her. And that's cool. But then even the AI Kokoro is a female and is perceived to be a force for good. And it's almost portrayed as, they almost portray Skynet as male as well. Now that's not explicitly said, but it puts this very strange male-female dynamic in a story where it didn't really have it so explicitly. And it at some points, and definitely when they go on the diatribe of men versus women being creators and men being destroyers, it definitely takes you out of the story. But other than that, I mean, the story's pretty solid. I love how they basically portray time travel in this, and that they understand that when you go back in time, you're basically not changing the past, but rather you're creating another timeline. And so the future cannot really be altered, but rather you are making a new future. So I thought that was pretty cool. Other than that, the story, like I say, it keeps you engaged. I didn't want to click off of it very often. I actually binged the whole way through. So it is something that is worth watching. It's only 8 episodes. I think that most people that like Terminator will like this. It's definitely better than Dark Fart and a lot of the other entries, because it's able to take its time through the 8 episodes and really kind of get you to understand and know the characters. Other than the gender stuff, I mean, other than that, it's not bad. Now, will this be going on my non-woke series list? Absolutely not. But I think if you're a fan of the Terminator franchise and you like the lore outside of just Arnie, I think that this is a pretty good entry, and I would actually like seeing a season 2. So let me know what you thought of Terminator Zero in the comment section, and we'll talk about it. See you in the comment section. 8-Bit Heroes out. Peace.
If you'd like to get a shout out on the channel, then hit that like button, maybe share it with a couple of friends, and do us the biggest honor of all, and subscribe to the channel so you can join the 8-Bit Heroes family. And while you're at it, hit that bell icon so you can be notified when our new videos come out.